oldest child, Katie Brabson. This is my son, Natty Nuzzi, and my grandson, Moosey Brabson. Katie had a heart for the world and for ways to make the world a better place, and for ways to do that within her own home before she was married, and then as she and her husband Jason were married and came to us and said they had decided to start a family, and that plan included first adoption.
My husband's job was not flexible, mine was. Actually, I quit my job and went to Ethiopia knowing that I would be there for some time. So Moosey he was about 14 months old, and he was fast asleep. And he was in his crib, and I walked in and I'm just crying, you know, because I'd come all this way to see him. And I didn't want to wake him up, but I couldn't help myself. So I started saying, Moosey, Moosey. And he did not wake up. So then one of his caretakers came over and she said, you know, just pick him up, pick him up. I said, no, I don't want to pick him up. But she grabbed him because he wouldn't wake up for anybody because he was a deep sleeper. And she put him in my arms and he started to cry. Do you remember that? Remember the story?
And now I'm a deep sleeper.
Yeah, you're still a deep sleeper, that's right. And so I started singing him this song called Snuggle Puppy, and he stopped crying and he looked back. He started touching my face like this, right? And that was it. He was my son. Then I remember talking to my mom and saying, there's this boy that you have to meet. And she did. I mean, immediately when she arrived in Ethiopia, I think it was that same day we went over to Layla House and she met Natty, and I just remember her looking at me like, oh my word, I love this child too.
I went back and had never really truly thought about adopting at all. I mean, all three of our children were out of the nest. I mean, we were looking forward to my husband's retirement within like 3 or 4 years. So I went back to the apartment and emailed my husband, and I said, honey, I don't think we're done having children. And I'll never forget the next morning when I got the email, it was like in 98 font, red was this word, what? So Tom had said via email, okay, if that's what you believe is supposed to be, then start the process. And got other paperwork in and had actually received kind of a letter back of initial approval. And I got this phone call and she said, well, surely you weren't intending on separating a sibling set and just adopting Natty. And I was like, a sibling set? I don't know what you're talking about. And she said, did you not know that Natty has a little sister, Bethlehem? I said, no. How old is this little sister? And I think at the time she was 6. And I'm thinking, oh my word, a 6-year-old. How am I going to break that to my husband? I had talked with a number of pediatricians up in, the area where we're living right now. And most of them, well, no, they were all very kind, but they were honest and said, well, we'll do our best, but that's not our forte. We're not sure that we know. And I had finally heard about the International Adoption Clinic. So I made one phone call. I got to Linda Walsh. I asked her a whole bunch of questions. She probably thought she was on trial. And I was so comforted by her answers of holistic understanding. And it was, I don't want to make it so simple as saying it was a one-stop shop, but it was. Every area of their need was attended to here.
Where should I listen? Oh, thank you.
For a family that is looking to adopt, the first thing that they need to know is that everybody's story is different. It's not going to follow a book that they've read. It's going to be their own story, just like every family and every person is different. One of the pieces of advice I would definitely give, though, is to know that it's not going to work exactly like you hear it is at the beginning.
Well, a child is a child is a child, regardless of how they come to you.
That's exactly right.
I guess I had a baby by birth about, exactly a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just had a first birthday.
I was thinking about this the other day. I was just kind of making a little bit of a comparison. The fact that, so I have little Finn here, and Moosey here, and we had contracts with Moosey, we had contractions with Finn, but both of them involved a tremendous amount of labor
Yeah.
And at the end of it, I had 2 children who are my very own and are precious.